Why, hello there, Nice here. I hope this video finds you well. Today I'm bringing you an unboxing. I'm going to be using this recently unboxed Tenable Tipper. Still enjoying this one. I mean, I did just pretty much unbox it, but it does seem to have a pretty good ability to cut so far. What I'm unboxing here today is a couple knives that I grabbed from the Evergrande White Mountain knives, because they're always awesome. I got a sort of a spread of knives. There's a budget one, there's a slightly above that, and then there's a considerably more expensive knife that I wanted to check out for a while from Reich. That was actually on sale when I got it. So I got a pretty decent price point on it, because it is a bit more of an expensive knife, and I just, can't afford to do that all the time. But let's start off with our Rapax, which is a completely new brand to me. Never heard of them. Saw it, thought it was interesting, decided to check it out. I do like the box. It's got a lot of static electricity, but I do like the box. It's got a magnetic flap on it. I mean, it's not like, it's certainly not on the level of something that you'd see from, well, likely the box that the Reich ones comes in, but a magnetic flap's pretty cool for a budget knife. This knife was around 50 bucks. Does it have a name? I don't even know. The Buddy. The Buddy. It does say it on the bottom here. The Rapax Buddy, and that looks to be a gator or a crocodile. There's a difference, people, but I can't tell from that. Let's get in there. Yeah, okay, so you got like antique steel bolsters. You've got G10 reversible deep carry clip, inset screws. It does have a pretty big, ooh, that's a pretty nasty flat on the end. I might actually have to get some like pliers and tweak that a little bit, because that one's pointing straight down. That one's going to be really hard to get in and out of the pocket as it is. Fortunately, it is steel, so you can definitely bend it up a little bit, but we'll have to see what happens there. Lanyard hole. It's got a very unique looking front flip, not front flipper, top, just a regular flipper tab. Though it is very high in relation to the pivot, which is always nice to see. It's also got a front flipper with, I mean, I don't know why they didn't put the grate jimping on the front flipper. They changed the jimping into less grate and didn't wrap it around. Interesting choice, but it is a budget knife. You get what you get. It's got a steel liner in there. I can see the liner lock. It is centered. Let's see how good the flipper tab does with this really high point of leverage. Yes, the flipper tab is perfectly good. Oh, it even says the Buddy here. And it's in VG10 blade steel. I don't have a lot of experience with VG10 blade steel. Whoa! Okay. The front flipper, despite not having the perfect kind of jimping, it does actually give you enough grip to it that it's pretty easy to do. Though you want to be not too high, because that does have a pretty long flipper tab on there. But no, that's pretty darn easy. Perfect sharpening choil and plunge grind. Like, amazing. You've got basically a forward finger choil that the flipper tab forms. And it's sort of clip point blade shape. That's a decent edge. There was a little bit of tooth there. Good lock bar access. I'm thinking it might be yeah, okay. it's loose. That makes sense. I might have to play around with the that's not the right one. I might have to play around with the centering a little bit, because that is loose there. Still a little tiny bit. This is a pretty good, I don't know, it's a decent looking knife. It's kind of straightforward. It's very neutral handle, but it's interesting. The blade does go up at an angle a little bit more than I would like it to. I thought it was going to be straight in line with the handle, but it's a pretty decent looking straightforward knife. It is very comfortable in the hand. In fact, yeah, I can definitely you know, grab that and angle it up just a tiny bit because it falls right where I want it to. Okay. Yeah, there's a little bit of, feels like gunk in there on the face of the blade, which is not hardly unusual for. The stop pins are internally mounted. I can feel the bearings moving, so there might be some gunk on there. Oh, there's still some play in there. Okay. Play is gone. Okay, our centering is now off. Yeah, I'm going to have to play with it a little bit, but I actually think I might have taken it too far. No play. Yeah, that's not bad. Also, you got a little bit of milling here on this sort of antiqued bolster style thing that's going on here. This is not bad. This is doing a little bit of something different here. I like it. Hopefully it'll hold up nicely. And while they did give you some jimping on the lock bar, they did also chamfer it down, so it's actually pretty alright to interface with. So good on them. Just gonna see if I can get it to clean out and yeah, you can sort of hear it. So not like the most amazing bearing system in there, but I don't know. I like it. It seems like a pretty solid knife for the price point. And VG10 you usually only see at higher price points for some reason. QC pass from Kaiser. This is the first Kaiser in a while that I've had to unbox. This is the slightly fancier version of a knife. This is not a budget knife. Get in there. Oh, it's smaller than I thought. It looks big in the images they have, but this is the... Oh, there's a little... Oh, this is a sealable pouch. Okay, cool. Yeah. This is the Kaiser Allure. This particular one has a wood inlay. You can definitely see the grain structure, but it does feel pretty darn smooth and pretty well executed, actually. And it's got this sort of dark wash Damascus on it. It's not reflective, but it's got like a dark coating to it, which is kind of interesting. That's what made me want to check it out. There are a few variants of this. There's some S45 variants. In fact, the S45 variants are more expensive than this one. Also, pretty crazy action. It's a little tight to get in there, but I'm not having a problem or anything like that. Oh, don't push at the top of the very top of the flipper tab. Not the greatest jimping, but it is high enough in relation to the pivot that I'm not going to be like, yeah, that's definitely usable. Plunge grind could be a little bit better. It gets a little closer than it needs to, considering how much room they have here, but I mean, they do give you a big old forward choil kind of thing going on here. It is, for being sort of a thinner knife, it is decently thick, contoured. Backspacer, lanyard pin, not reversible clip. It also has a flat on the end, but that's not quite as bad of one. Reasonably comfortable. I think it might be actually... It might be more comfortable in the choke-up position. Nah, it's pretty good either way. Decent edge. I don't feel any distinctive burrs. It actually has a little bit less bite than the previous one, but it does feel like it's got a good edge on it. This is interesting. Damascus. It's a liner lock with an inset liner. Good D10, I'll give them that much. amazing action, which is not unheard of for Kaiser. They didn't do the thing where they do the weight reduction, at least not visibly, which is nice. Let's see if there's any play. No. So that's its action. Is it centered? It is darn near it. It looks like it might be a tiny bit off, but it looks like the grind might be slightly deeper on one side, so it's going to look a tiny bit off. But I think that is... No, that's centered. That is centered. And there's no play. And that's the action. Okay, Kaiser. This is cool. This is a nice knife. I do kind of wish they put even a very simple popsicle stick, like titanium clip on this thing. I think would be very nice as a little bonus. But it is... This was, what, 120 bucks? Is the frame titanium? That's the question. I don't know. It's not steel. The liner's steel. Allure, Damascus, it says it in there. In fact... Oh, yes, Kaiser. Yes. See, this is what I want to see. No visible branding or markings. This is completely clean. Kaiser's logo is... You can barely see it, but it's in there. You can see the word Allure. Yeah, Kaiser's logo is in there. That is how you do that. And this, it kind of feels like titanium. I mean, I'm not saying it's not necessarily aluminum, but it does feel like titanium. And at this price point, it would be pretty good to be titanium. I don't know if it says it anymore, but I'll know for the... Oh, here we go. Titanium! Panama Rosewood, Titanium, Black Matte Damascus, Johann Jordan, 3.25-inch Allure. This is pretty nice. In fact, I'm liking it more and more as I'm holding it. It's gotten very interesting, but smartly tall front flipper. I mean, they could have left it just down here, probably. Where does that stop pin hit? Right here, where it's not going to cause any problems whatsoever. Excellent. Excellent. It is not super thin behind... Actually, it's pretty thick behind the edge. That is the one thing. That seems quite thick behind the edge. Why is that so thick behind the edge? That should be thinner. In fact, I don't normally do this in an unboxing, but let's see how thick behind the edge that is, because that does not feel great. Whoa. Alright, Kaiser. You know, you did everything else right here. That is stout behind the edge. There is no reason for that to be that stout. You have enough room to drop it down. You have enough room to put a hollow grind down here on it if you wanted to. That is really stout behind the edge. I complained about it on I've complained about it on other knives, but that's a bit stout. Otherwise, this thing's pretty freaking awesome, but that is unnecessarily stout behind the edge. I don't know what's going on with that. I'll do a review. I mean, at that thickness, it's not typically... I like having slightly thinner knives to carry around. I don't know if it's going to stick around, to be perfectly honest with you, just at that thickness by itself. Well, let's see how it does opening the Reich. It's got a fine edge on it. How does it handle just... Here, I cut off a piece of cardboard the other day. Let's see how it does to it. Yeah, that's a little stout. It did get through it better than I... No, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a little stouter. Like, you can see how it sort of crumpled it right at the edge there. I mean, this is a small crumpled piece of cardboard, so it might not be a good indicator, but just as a quick little note. It's thicker than I want it to be. It's thicker than what I want it to be. Can I, here's the real steel Destra. Not bad. It did curl over the paper a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. See it right there, how it sort of curled the edge of the paper over a little bit? That's because it's a bit thick. But, we'll have to see on that one. That's a shame. I really like that knife. But I really don't like that, that thickness at all. Let's see how the Reich does. This is the Reich Tissot? I wanted to check this one out. There's a Tissot 1 and there's a Tissot 2. This is number 1. I don't like number 2, so I didn't check it out. Come on now. Get open. Wow, that sucker is... Talk about a strong seal. Woo! Hopefully there's not too much oil on here. It is DLC on the backspacer, which is this big giant piece here. It's using the button disengagement backspacer that hides all the hardware that was originally on the lamella that I actually have and have shown off on the channel. So this one pops off. How does this one pop off? It throws a bar and it looks like it... I don't want to pull too hard, but... Oh, it just... Okay, so that's what it does. It slides forward once you get it up. Okay, and that hides the... Reich? This was supposed to hide the hardware. How do you take this knife apart? Oh, maybe this... Okay, so maybe that was literally holding the back end of the knife together. So there is no body screw? There's just a pivot. That's certainly a choice. Certainly a choice. Very interesting. Yeah, and this literally just hooks it on there. Richard Wu design, 2024. This one's been around for that long? Wow. Okay. Typical Reich fashion. Lots of fine details and milling work and stuff like that. I mean, simple, smooth. I don't necessarily care that it says Tissot on there, but the Reich logo being up there is cool. Big old thumb stud, or not even a thumb stud. This is more of a thumb disc thing. Feels a little bit slick. It works. It works. Well, we're 3 for 3 in the near dropping department, which is pretty cool. I don't know if I love this big old thumb stud or disc or whatever. It's the angle that it's milled at is kind of sloping away from you, so it doesn't really provide a whole lot of traction. It works for the thumb flick, does it? It doesn't really feel very good for the reverse flick. Okay, maybe it's just how I have to get used to it. Maybe I have to go down lower. Okay, it doesn't feel like you're getting the traction, and then it just sort of goes anyway. Which is kind of bizarre. I think going down here is actually better. Sharpening choil and plunge grind. I mean, the sharpening choil is super high and deep, but the plunge grind is kind of terrible. The plunge grind, I thought it actually stopped earlier. It actually does hit the edge. Don't like to see that. Is this hollow ground? Whoa, that is hollow ground. Okay, that is relatively deeply hollow ground, actually. That is really thin behind the edge. Okay, so we're going the opposite direction on this one. This one is in M390. Okay, how do you hold this thing? This is not the most comfortable because of the really quite tall clip. Oh, it's tall because it's got a roller in there, it looks like. Or, yeah, a roller of some sort. It's a pretty tall clip. There's a lot of room underneath it. Good flex. And no, is it a roller or is it a... Yeah, it's a roller. But because on this handle, you can definitely feel it back here. I mean, it's not awful or anything like that. By no means is it awful, but you definitely feel how square it is. Where it's so rounded up here, it's kind of very hard angles down here, which is very unusual. You can also definitely go here, and honestly, even though that looks weird, it's kind of comfortable. That's actually pretty comfortable up there. Thin edge. No particular burr. Satin and some sort of blasting plus a horizontal satin on the flats, as small as they are. Lots of details, typical, like I said, of Reich. What's the stop pin? Oh, the back of this thing is the stop pin. Okay. How about in the closed position? It's the stop pin there too. Okay, so that's the stop pin. Yeah, I'm still not convinced on the shape of this thing, but it's interesting. Yeah, say it's just like you don't got enough. If you go underneath it, you don't got a whole lot to grip onto, and if you go into it, it's too slick. Gonna have to play around with this. Okay, so you want to go underneath it. You want to go up here and throw it like that. Or not. No, yeah, that's probably where you want to do. Yeah, I'm not loving the engagement. Great lock bar access, though. Great action. Lots of play. Lots of play in there. Oh, when I say lots of play, but there's just definitely noticeable play. It's a little tighter. It's still centered. Yeah, it's still centered. Interesting. Now there's a tiny, 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 tiny hint. Yeah, it's gone. Yeah, the centering's not really being affected, but we've definitely lost our drop shot. However, it is still pretty good. Does feel like there might be some grease or something going on there. Yeah, reasonably good. It's got a decently strong... Yeah, it's got a decently strong detent. This is interesting. This is an unusual knife. I like the look of it. I like the hollow grind. I mean, it's got a pretty thick crown spine stock that comes down to a pretty darn super thin edge. You can kind of see there. But then they completely bungled the plunge. And the ergos are interesting. They're not bad, they're just... That's a good way to put this whole knife. It just feels foreign. like when you handle knives, you have when you're into knives, I guess, and you handle a bunch of knives, or you have a bunch of knives. There are certain things you come to expect, certain ways things are typically, and for good reason, they've been developed to be a certain way. Typically, when you have thumb discs or something, you have hard edges, and you sort of have certain chamfers and shapes that have sort of risen to the top, I guess, as being consistently a good design idea. This thing seems to be like doing its own thing. It seems to really just be kind of saying it works, it just doesn't feel the same as a lot of stuff. Like this, these angles here is just kind of strange, but they're not bad when you get your hand into them, which is bizarre. All right, I've been talking long enough. This one is a really weird one, but I'm gonna review these. I don't know if they're gonna stick around on the chat permanently because, I mean, this is so thick, which is such a shame because I like it. But yeah, I'm gonna end things. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry to have taken so much of your time. I wasn't expecting this. These three are very, very different knives. I hope to see you in the review. I hope to see you again on the channel. Have a great day, and that's it for me. See you later.